Hi everyone, I hope you're well. I hope you had 3 good classes off and worked on your projects. If you're doing WebAssign, you're doing problem set 18. It's due Thursday at 6. If you do them in the book, 6.3 and 6.4, and there are the numbers. All right, let me find a clean page and we'll get started. Just as an incidental, a lot of you ask me questions over emails. I know I'm preaching to the choir because all those questions are pretty much answered in the lectures. So please watch the lectures. But if you watch the lectures, then you don't have the questions. Anyway, a lot of you haven't turned in quiz 5 yet, or those of you that had to make up the second test. So they're in Google Classroom. Get those to me, please. Tonight's quiz, I'm going to try to put on Blackboard. If for some reason I have any trouble with it, then I'll just send you a picture of it, okay? All right, 6.3, adding and subtracting rational expressions. Incidentally, that being said, one of the popular questions that I'm getting is when is the project due? Project presentations would have started tonight, gone through Thursday, and then next Tuesday. So just as long as you get them to me by next Tuesday, I'm happy. Adding and subtracting rational expressions. So it's a pretty easy night. However, I do remember that this night was long last semester. So be happy that you're not sitting in class through 6.3 and 6.4 and project presentations and a quiz. All right, so when we add or subtract fractions, we have to have like denominators, okay? So therefore they become a little bit more complicated than multiplying and dividing. Now, if we have a denominator in common, then we're just going to add the numerators. Of course, it's not going to be this easy because we have to factor, but you get the gist. Same thing with subtracting. If you have a common denominator, then just subtract the numerators. Okay? All right, so let's go ahead and add some fractions. X over 4 plus 5 minus x over 4. Because we have a common denominator, we're just going to add the numerators. So we'd get x plus 5 minus x over 4. The x's would cancel out, and you would be left with 5 over 4. Okay. The next one, 7 over 2x minus 3 minus 3x over 2x minus 3. Common denominators, so you're just going to subtract the numerators. Okay. There's nothing that you can simplify at that point, so just leave it as it is. And then x over x squared minus 2x minus 3 minus 3 over x squared minus 2x minus 3. Again, a common denominator, so you're just going to subtract the numerators. But here, you want to check to see if you can factor the denominator so that it has the same term as the numerator. And you'll get x minus 3 at the top, obviously. If you try x minus 3 at the bottom, then you're going to multiply that by x to get your x squared and a positive 1. Okay, to get your negative 3, negative 3x plus x would give you negative 2x. So then you can cancel this out. Remember, that's not nothing on the top, but rather 1 over x plus 1. Okay? So it's really easy when you have a common denominator. When you don't, all right, first we're going to take baby steps and find the least common multiple. So the least common multiple between 6x, 2x squared, and 9x cubed. Okay, you don't want to find the greatest common factor, all right? So between 6, 2, and 9, it's going to be 18, right? 6 goes into 18, 2 goes into 18, 9 goes into 18. And then between x, x squared, and x cubed, it's going to be x cubed. So 18x cubed, 6x goes into there, 2x squared goes into there, 9x cubed goes into there. If we're looking for the least common multiple between, just looking for a room here, x squared minus x and 2x minus 2. Okay, you're going to have to factor to figure it out, all right? So if I factor an x out of here, I'll be left with x minus 1. And if I factor 2 out of here, I'll be left with x minus 1. All right, so then x minus 1, or the least common multiple here is x minus 1, obviously. And because you have 2 and x, you're going to multiply those two together. So you'll get 2x, x minus 1. 2 goes in there, x goes in there, and obviously x minus 1 goes in there. Okay? And then the least common multiple of 3x squared plus 6x equals, so they factored that out for you, 3x times x plus 2 and x squared plus 4x plus 4, and they factored that out for you too, and that's x plus 2 squared. Okay, so both of them have an x plus 2. So the common factor there is going to be 3x, x plus 2 squared. Okay? So like I said, it's a baby step because then when we add and subtract fractions that don't have a common denominator, we're going to have to find the common denominator before we can add or subtract the numerators. So if we're adding 7 over 6x plus 5 over 8x. All right, the first thing they have to do is find the common denominator between 6x and 8x. So both 6 and 8 go into 24. 8 goes in there 3 times, and 6 goes in there 4 times. So we're going to multiply by 4 and by 3. So 7 times 4 over 6x times 4 plus 5 times 3 over 8x times 3. Okay, so we'll get 28 over 24x, and we'll get 15 over 24x. Add those together, and we get 43 over 24x. Okay. Same thing with subtraction. If we have 3 over x minus 3 minus 5 over x plus 2. Okay, so you're looking at that, what's the common denominator between x minus 3 and x plus 2? Well, you're just going to multiply this one by x minus 3 over x minus 3 and multiply this one by x plus 2 over x plus 2. So you get 3 times x plus 2 over x minus 3. On the bottom, just leave it as x minus 3 times x plus 2 minus 5 times x minus 3. On the top, we're going to have to do some work, though. Over x minus 3 times x plus 2. Okay, so then you're going to go ahead and distribute on the top. Hopefully my filming skills don't make you dizzy. Yeah, I'm just looking for room here. You're going to get 3x plus 6 minus 5x plus 15, because a minus times a minus, And that's going to be over x minus 3 times x plus 2. And then you can simplify the top a little bit. "10 minutes is a pretty good cutoff time for me to upload, so I'm going to cut this off in a second. 3x minus 5x is negative 2x, and 6 plus 15 is 21. You can't factor anything out from that. X minus 3 over x plus 2. The book leaves it like that, but technically, since this is algebra and we want it in the simplest form, you would do 21 minus 2x, because then you'd lose that symbol of the plus. All right, I will be back with you for a couple more like this, and then we'll get into complex fractions.